CTTB Music Podcast.
George Martin,
Bobby V,
Pete Burns,
Prince Buster,
Guy Clark,
Merle Haggard,
Keith Emerson,
Greg Lake,
Morris White,
Jimmy Bain of Rainbow,
Paul Cantner, Jefferson Airplane,
Senior Toller Anderson, Jefferson Airplane,
Matt Roberts, Three Doors Down,
Craig Gill in Spiral Carpets,
Sharon Jones,
Rod Temperton,
Alan Vega,
James Woolley,
Dave Swarbrick, Fairport Convention,
Nick Menza, Megadeth,
Frank Sinatra Jr.,
Fife Dog, A Tribe Called Quest,
Andy Newman, Thunderclap Newman,
Colin Vencombe, Black,
Leon Russell,
Glenn Frey, The Eagles,
Prince,
Vanity,
Christian Leonard, River Reeves, Thomas Lowe, Jack Dakin and Craig Tarry, Viola Beach,
Leonard Cohen.
David Bowie. So it's awards time.
Hey!
That time of year that people look forward to when we discuss all the albums we've loved it so much during the year. And as per usual, we have an exciting array of awards for people to listen to. But unlike those TV programmes now that you get every time when they spend the first 10 minutes basically summarising what's going to happen in the next 50 minutes, we're just going to, jump straight in.
Yeah.
But to give some context to what we're talking about, there's a website called Album of the Year, which specialises in collecting reviews from various different things.
Well, that's how you've been doing it.
And
Secrets will be
looked
revealed.
at their, based on 95 end-of-year lists, as of going to press, he says, as of going to recording now, their best top 10 albums of the year overall were 10, Angel Olsen, My Woman, 9, A Tribe Called Quest, We Got It From Here, Thank You For Your Service, 8, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Skeleton Tree, 7, Kanye West, The Life of Pablo, 6, Chance the Rapper, Colouring Book, 5, Radiohead, A Moon-Shaped Pool, 4, Solange, Seat at the Table, 3, Frank Ocean, Blonde, 2, Beyonce, Lemonade, and number 1, David Bowie, Black Star. I found this list actually quite interesting. It's interesting for start off to see that the Knoll sisters take up 2 of the top 5 places, and actually account for over a quarter of the number 1 spots.
Wow.
In the list. Bowie and Beyonce both have 17 number 1 positionings on lists, but Bowie did slightly better in top 5s, top 10s and stuff like that. It's also interesting because that only 3 of these albums were albums that we actually reviewed, the Bowie, Cave and Angel Olsen. Fingers on the pulse.
Oh, we're always good.
Yeah. To be fair, there were reasons, extenuating circumstances for us not doing some of these. Beyonce album, I fully intended us to review. However, it wasn't Spotified because clearly it was titled because of husband.
Oh, of course, yes.
Similarly, I think at least one of the albums here was also, I think Kanye West wasn't on there at the time either. I know, it's terrible, isn't it? But apparently it's the 7th best album of the year.
Right.
And with Radiohead, but that was during our period where we were struggling to get podcasts in, and by the time we got around to doing a podcast, the Radiohead album was already about 2 months old. So we decided to review something new rather than something old.
I recall. Good.
Right. With that out of the way, let's actually get on to the main thing. And in the words of Angus Harrison in The Guardian recently, now that music criticism has shed its superiority complex, there's little place for worst in show lists that seek to lambast the mainstream. So let's start with the Gold Cobra Award for Worst Album We've Listened to in 2016. Pete, the nominees.
Drake.
And that's it, really. Yeah, so unsurprisingly, our winner was Drake Views, a 85-minute long album that we listened to about halfway through the year.
Yeah, yes.
And
You still have the scars.
yeah. And to be fair, I think you liked it slightly more than I did, because I remember I got quite sweary about it, because it really
went off on one about it. I mean, I
really annoyed
I knew
me.
then it was a contender for this, but yeah, I get to give it. I almost said credit. Then did you hear the word get stuck in my throat?
Yeah.
To give it credit, it wasn't, I think, as shockingly terrible as you were making out, but it was very bad.
Its length didn't help for me. I mean, we should say this is an album just for the second year in a row. Drake was the world's most streamed artist on Spotify with 4.7 billion streams.
We're so in tune with the kids.
Yeah.
Yep.
In fact, he's the most streamed artist of all time on Spotify with 8.7
Wow.
billion streams.
Wow.
And I said, people, it's been nominated for Grammys, stuff like that, and people really did like this record. For an artist so eager to entertain, so set upon his superior status in a fickle industry, he surprisingly doesn't take any risks in order to do something truly different, said Tiny Mistapes. And that's pretty much what
Yeah.
that pretty much summed up the way I thought about this record.
Yeah.
I go, here's a guy who is touted as the next big thing, touted as somebody that's up there with Kanye and all these kind of people. And clearly he's doing all right. Like I say, he's selling an absolute shed load of records, and clearly people like it, even if it's from just a singles point of view. But for me, because of that, I just found this hugely soul-destroying and disappointing record. It didn't show any invention at all, and just sounded tired even by 2016 standards of the genre it was trying to do. So
Yeah.
it annoyed me, because people say, oh yes, he's great, and look at this, he's doing this, that, and oh, there's a thing with Rihanna, and you go, no.
Yeah, no, I think that was it. That was it entirely for me as well. I think that subgenre of rap R&B is now tired, and so for me, it instantly sounded dated.
Yeah, although it's clearly still making
But it's still popular,
a
kids.
shitload of money.
Exactly. It was just soul destroyed, because there was no joy in this at all.
No. Well, there was 1 minute and 46 minutes of joy in Summer's Over Interlude, which is the third last track on the album,
Indeed.
which was lovely.
Which was lovely, because it was near the end. But for me, it was just here. I'm successful. I'm an artist. I'm wealthy. I got women. I got cars. I got houses.
But enough about you, Pete.
I got bling. And
Merry Christmas!
I'm bloody miserable about it, mate.
Yeah, actually, you're right, yes.
That's
It was a miserable album. He was moaning.
It was just a moan.
Yeah.
It's like 80 minutes of someone moaning. If I want that, I'll just go down the pub.
Now, there's an idea, kids. But please remember to drink responsibly.
Yes, indeed.
Especially around this time of the year.
Oh, in fact, yes. What with New Year coming up. So, for me, clear winner from the off.
Yeah. To be fair, it didn't have much competition, which is it's a good sign.
I can come back to that point
Anyway,
later.
yeah. Moving on to our next award for the critically unloved album of the year, which again, this is
It's just finger on the pulse.
given to one of the 60 albums that we reviewed, which actually failed to make any critics' year-end best of lists, at least that we know about. So we're talking about 95 lists going here.
Yeah.
So, the nominees in that were Foy Vance, Wild Swan, ABC, Let's Kind of Love 2, Sting, 57th, God, 57th and 9th, Mary Chapin Carpenter, The Things That We Are Made Of, and Little Mix, Glory Days. And our winner, Pete, is...
Little Mix, Glory Days.
Come on, admit it, listeners, you're surprised with that one.
Yeah. This was just nice. It was just nice, you know.
It was nice. We reviewed it last podcast.
Podcast. It's just pop music. It's just a guilty pleasure or whatever. Or maybe your daughter's
Just a pleasure.
new album.
Just a pleasure, not
Exactly.
a pleasure.
No, it's not even that guilty. It's a decent slice of pop music, mate. What do you want? What do you want?
It is. Nothing Else Matters is one of my tunes of the year, even though it's not on our tunes of the year list. But, just saying.
Yeah, just saying.
Moving swiftly along, the most important solid album of the year, given to an album that was unsurprisingly good, but didn't quite delight.
Have we invented this category? Didn't we try and do this once before?
We don't invent categories, Pete. The nominees, Pete.
are Teenage Fan Club, Here, Bob Mould, Patch the Sky, Misty Miller, The Whole Family is Worried. And the winner is, Scott.
The winner is The Fannies. Teenage Fan Club and Here, an album that proved after many years you can still record a good album that's literally just a good album.
It's not a great album.
Yeah.
No.
And there's an awful, because let's face it, there are lots of people that have been going for years that still can't manage to do that.
Yeah. Well, looking at you, Drake. No. Yeah, this is a good album.
There you go. I rest my case. Who said podcasting is difficult?
Oh, my brother-in-law liked it.
There you go.
There you go.
They're very good live.
Yeah.
And again, they're always very good live.
Yeah, so there you go. What do you want?
But the other tracks that they played, apart from the tracks of this album, were the best tracks.
What a joy.
Indeed. Most surprising album or genre switch of the year award, which was one we started with last year.
Yeah. What did we go with? Did we go with surprising or genre switch?
I think we probably
we'll
went with...
find out, won't we?
Yeah, we will. The nominees are Honeyblood, Babes Never Die, Bon Iver, 22 A Million, and Esperanza Spalding, Emily's De-Evolution. And the winner, Pete, was...
Honeyblood, Babes Never Die.
And explain why.
Because it really took me by surprise. No, all right. You want more? For me, as we were reviewing the year, this album just shot right up my list. It jumped about 10 places. I realised on, what must have then by that point been 5th or 6th listen, a really great album.
Yeah.
A great rocking album. Clean and simple.
For me, I backed up this decision simply because I was a fan of their debut album, but was slightly concerned when one of the members of the two-piece band left, how the sound and direction the band was going to go. But the answer was clearly from strength to strength. This is, whilst there are a couple of really good tracks, a couple of very, very good tracks, in fact, on the debut album, the quality of this second album throughout is very good.
Yeah. It's consistently good.
Yeah.
And it proves you can still make a great indie rock album in 2016.
Yes, which, frankly, we'd lost pretty much all hope of.
I think we've lost all hope of, so I think that was the surprise.
Yeah, so this award could also be called the Yes, It Is Still Possible to Make a Good Indie Album award as well.
Oh, that would have been a good title for this.
Yeah.
Award,
Next year, when there won't be anybody we can put in it.
Yes.
Best shared musical activity outside of the podcast award, to prove that we do actually see each other outside of these podcasting awards.
These are 3 times we've seen each other.
Yes.
And they were.
And they were, Pete. When were they?
The C2C Songwriters Circle at the O2 Indigo. Jesse Marlin at the Borderline, back in June, July, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Brandy Clark at Cadogan Hall.
And
in
the
that
winner,
London.
Yeah, and the winner was Brandy Clark doing her acoustic thing.
Yeah.
Which was a rather splendid gig.
It was a splendid gig because she was doing exactly that. Because I have to admit, went into that thinking, how's it going to work? How's it going to work? How's it going to work?
Yeah.
And it was lovely.
Her and her mate.
Her and her mate. And the setting was delightful as well. Never been to that venue before. Never been to Cadogan Hall. Really nice place for an acoustic gig.
It is.
Very sort of soft and gentle, and like being in a grand old civic hall. Beautiful place. So that all just added to the experience. Plus your good company, of course, as well.
Absolutely.
And you, listener. So, yeah. Very good. No, that's great. I mean, for me, Jesse Marlin coming up to the bar and closing his set about 5 feet from where we were stood was also quite special.
Yeah. That was certainly one of the rock moments.
That was a rock moment.
Yes.
Excellent.
So, we have best song of the year and album of the year to go.
Wow.
So, best song of the year.
We're knocking these out.
We are.
Aren't we?
Well, otherwise people just turn off from
Yeah,
it.
true. It's just a list, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best song of the year. Our nominees are Sting, I Can't Stop Thinking About You, Garbage, Sometimes, Pet Shop Boys, Inner Sanctum, Bat for Lashes, Sunday Love, Yesayer, Dead Sea Scrolls, David Bowie, Black Star, School of Seven Bells, This Is Our Time, The Jezebels, Love Is a Disease, PJ Harvey, Ministry of Defence, and the aforementioned Brandy Clark, Girl Next Door. And our winner is Pete.
I'm going to go with Black Star. Yeah, I know there was another contender in there, which was also very good.
Yeah.
I think Garbage's opening to their great comeback album sometimes was dark and just set the tone beautifully for that record. But it's got to be Black Star.
It does have to be Black Star, yes.
By a mile.
Just a in the centre of it all, in the centre of it all.
Yeah, you've got that sort of great sort of song, and then in the middle of it, and then all of a sudden
It goes off on one.
Just drops in another song right there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which, whichever way you look at it, was indeed, yeah, very sort of premonitionary.
Yes, very
That
premonitionary.
whole album, really. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on, indeed, and I think we're going to move on by. We're going to count down so, before we get to our.
Oh yeah.
Before we get to our top five.
See, yeah.
Um,
I was going to say.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you can do the counting.
Right. Okay.
So counting down till we get.
Should we alternate?
Yeah, so
'Cause that worked so well
Yeah,
the
so we're
first time.
counting down until we get to.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah, then we'll stop.
Yeah. Good work.
So the official CTTB top 20 albums of the year, with our combined reasoning, at number 20 was Regina Spektor, Remember Us to Life.
Join 18. It's Shearwater, Jet Plane, and Oxbow.
And Misty Miller, The Whole Family Is Worried.
17, mate. It was Metallica, Hardwired to Self-Destruct.
I feel like we're on Radio 2 now. Dr. Mosh! At 16, we have Gigs and Landlord.
15, Jezebels, Cynthia.
Joint 13, Bat for Lashes, The Bride, and...
School of Seven Bells, S7B. Finally managed it.
At number 12, The Divine Comedy for Everland.
Number 11, Esperanza Spalding, Emily's D Evolution.
10, Yesayer, Amen and Goodbye.
At 9, Pet Shop Boys, Super.
8, Michael Kwianeku, Love and Hate.
7, PJ Harvey, The Hope 6 Demolition Project.
Yeah,
Shall I do a drum roll?
yeah. Yeah, so I realised like I missed one off our list. There should have been 6. The nominee should have had 6 rather than...
Brilliant.
They hate it when the production note's just wrong.
Excellent, good stuff.
So it means that we have 6 nominees for our album of the year,
Marvellous.
which are Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Skeleton Tree, Bon Iver, 22 million, Brandy Clark, Big Day in a Small Town, David Bowie, Black Star, Garbage, Strange Little Birds, and Honeyblood, Babes Never Die. So this is where we do the big drum roll.
Alright, hang on.
Yeah.
Ow!
Yeah.
Ow, my legs! Oh.
And everyone who's listening has already...
Switched off.
Yes, because they already know what the answer is.
Of course it is.
Yeah. It's David Bowie, Black Star. To
Yeah.
be fair, we agreed with the critics for a change.
Yeah, yeah.
But the critics were also right for a change.
Yes.
Whilst I will admit I'm sure some of the critical adoration and praise of the album has in some part been influenced by Bowie's death at the start of the year. I think on the whole most people have rightly rated it highly because it just is a terrific record.
That's awesome.
And it's one of those records that the more you listen to it, the more you get out of it. And again, it's not a very long record either. And it's amazing that they basically recorded a 7-track album 2 of the tracks were stuff he'd already recorded before that just kind of decided to just re-record, rework very well for very differently. Sue particularly.
I preferred the rework.
Yeah. But it just, it's a wonderfully dark, inventive. Funnily enough, there are times that actually just reminds me both of One Outside and of Tin Machine. In the kind
we talked about that recently, weren't we?
Yeah. In the kind of general kind of sounds that are going on in the record, and it's just, I think we both agreed that this year, particularly, our number 1 record was very rarely in doubt.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything that really got close to it, which is not to do any disservice to the albums that fell below. Just the record, Brandy Clark was our number 2. Honey Blood, Babes Never Die was number 3, and Garbage, Nick Cave, and Bon Iver were joint number 4. All good records.
All great records, and I mean, goodness knows this album set the tone for a year, didn't it? It's an album that continually rewards. There you go. I went straight for the cliche. It's an album that will stay fresh for many years to come. It's a signifier of what you can do when you want to be inventive.
Indeed.
And it was a perfect bookend to a truly outstanding career, dare I say it, life.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and recorded 2 of the best albums of his career. As the last 2 albums of his career.
Absolutely. It's going to be on classic lists for many years to come, and no doubt it is part influenced by what happened immediately thereafter, and it really was that weekend, wasn't it?
It was that weekend.
Yeah. But deservedly so. As for 2016, you want my thoughts?
Yes, I do.
I'll keep it to the music. I think this has been a good year for music.
It's been solid
for living artists.
It's been a solid year.
It's been a solid year. I think the more there was a point when I thought, actually, have we really got enough this year? And actually, for the very first time when compiling my own list, I think I had an opportunity to actually go through pretty much everything, because it was difficult to place some of those records in the top 20.
Yeah.
There was a clear top 20 this year, but they were all great records. Or solid to good records.
Yeah, I think solid to good records, but
Yeah.
I do agree. I think it turned out to be a better year musically than I thought, and certainly as I was saying for a lot of it. But I actually think, bizarrely, I think that was helped by the fact I think there was quite a strong. I think there were a couple of strong turns. I think there was a very strong start to the year. Kind of January, February was quite strong.
Yeah.
And particularly, actually, if you look on end of year lists, the fact that the David Bowie album, the Savages album, the Hines album, which all 3 of those we reviewed in that first podcast, all
still there.
Scored very highly in end of year lists.
Yeah.
And then you've got towards the final quarter, when clearly, similarly, you've got the Nick Cave album, Bon Iver album,
Honey Blood,
Angel Olsen, Mitski, Blood Orange, all things that have done really, really well. The Blood Orange one's done, and even the Mitski one, didn't quite get that album, but clearly didn't get the Angel Olsen album as well as clearly many other people did. I think if you looked at rather than reading them out, we can post them online. But the whole thing. But clearly, on our individual lists, we had some things that were different from others, shall we say? So clearly, perhaps unsurprisingly, again to our listeners, your second favourite album was Pet Shop Boys.
Well, no, right.
Was I had it at number 19 in my list, but as you say, I didn't know at 19 to be cruel. It made my top 20, so it was a good record.
Look, I'll be honest with you. I think 19 of my choices were well executed. That one was clearly favouritism, but by their standards, I thought that was a great record as well.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah,
I liked it.
I liked it a lot. And then you get into your Bradley Clarks and Garbages and Honeybloods. I mean, our top, our two lists, they do diverge actually, don't they?
Yeah.
But you know, there's touch points like Bon Iver. School of Seven Bells went up in my ratings as well. Well, I don't know what happened; it seemed to slip back down again. But at one point, that was in my top 10.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Another happy album, Celebrating Death.
Another happy album. There was a few about, yeah.
Fire on the Beach, you're just in Death on your list.
Yes, there's quite a bit there. Sadly, no place for Rick Astley, 50, but...
Is that what number he was?
Yeah.
60 albums, 50.
I felt a bit sorry for Rick because I heard him on the radio last week. I thought, oh yeah, Rick, that was good.
Lovely bloke.
Yeah, there was some good sing-along, clap-along songs on there.
Yeah.
Not good enough for the top 20 though.
No, mainly the singles.
Yeah, mainly the singles, exactly. And I guess the surprise also is ABC, Lexicon of Love. It's down there on my list at 20, but...
Yeah, it didn't quite make mine, but as I say,
it's there.
That actually wasn't another good solid album,
yeah,
I think.
Exactly.
Genuinely surprised.
I
it was actually
no
more than a listenable record.
Yeah, I wasn't scratching around for places at the bottom there. I was, I had material.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the two big ones that didn't really feature in your list were the Yesayer album, which again was near the start of the year, which I think I said at the time, and I certainly think now is I think the best album they've done. Real grower, just a joy to listen to. And also Esperanza Spalding's Emily's De-Evolution, which was the famous album I reviewed and you didn't review in our famous mix-up week.
Hey. That's probably why I forgot about it.
which again, it's just you can probably listen to it. Which is it's just a great kind of. In some ways, it's a jazz record, but in other ways, it's so not a jazz record. But it has again, there's a Bowie connection because same producer, and so in that sense, it's quite interesting that two of my top 5 albums are produced by the same person. Mm-hmm. And apart from that, obviously, I had Metallica in there as well. Partly because it was a huge surprise that it was any good to me, because I has to be said, I was half thinking it was going to be a bit rubbish, but actually delivered, as we said, a double album that actually wasn't that long. Yeah, it was a double album in old school vinyl terms, as in 15 minutes aside, sorted and done.
Yeah.
And we'll finish on one thing, back to the critics' top albums. Uh-huh. So if we go back to the start when I was talking about the 95 end of year lists that were available, if we created, and I'm not going to do the whole 20, if we go to the top 10 of the albums that we reviewed based on critics' opinions of them,
yes,
they would be as follows, Pete.
Well, at 10 you'd have Parquet Courts, Human Performance.
9, Savages Adore.
At 8, it's Polly Harvey again, and the Hope 6 Demolition Project.
7, speaking of long albums, and even longer titles, the 1975 I Like It When You Sleep, for you are so beautiful, yet so unaware of it. And yet so pretentious.
At 6, Blood Orange, the Freetown Sound.
At 5, Mitski, Puberty 2.
At 4, Bon Iver, 22 Million.
3, Angel Olsen, My Woman.
2, Nick Cave and Bad Seeds, Skeleton Tree.
And of course, David Bowie, Black Star at number 1. So, as you say, that's the end of another year. Who knows what 2017 will bring?
Hopefully we're all still here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a new Nin single out.
Yeah!
Anyway, that's all, folks. Ring on 2017.
Ta-da.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
You've been listening to the CTTB Music Podcast.